Hey guys, Coach Mike Ryan from the Fastball USA Training Center, and this video is about how you as a parent could be helping your kid during the season and how your son or daughter could be helping themselves through the season. So I know as parents, there's almost like two extremes. You have the parent that is up around the backstop, near the dugout, sometimes shouting instruction. And then you have the other extreme where you have parents that want to be don't want to be that parent. So they sit way down the line, they got the red cup out, and they're just trying to stay out of the way. So my thing to you is parents, we don't have to be on either extreme. Is there are certain ways you could be helping your kid through the season, especially with our students in here. Inside, we have coached and mentored our players to become their own best students, their own best coaches in a sense. Where they're getting to a point where they're videoing themselves, they're analyzing their videos, they're bringing their videos to us as coaches. So there's no reason why that should stop while the season starts. So one thing that you could be doing that would help your kid is simply get a little bit of video on them. Now, that doesn't mean you got to video every at bat or every pitch or anything like that. But maybe once a game, maybe one at bat a game, or one every other game even. Get an at bat where you can get, for example, a side view of him hitting, or maybe a view with the pitcher and him in the view. That way your hitter could take a look at it after the game, just kind of for a mechanical checkpoint for himself. It doesn't make you as a parent crazy. What you're doing is you're getting a video on him, and you're providing as an instructive way for them to look and analyze, number one, timing with the pitcher. How does he working with the pitcher? That's why you want the pitcher and the hitter. But also from a standpoint of, so he could take a look at his swing, so he could analyze his mechanics. And that's what we've been training our hitters to do, is to really analyze themselves. And the same thing with our pitchers. So if your son is a pitcher and you can get a side view, kind of like if it's a right-handed pitcher from the kind of from the third base side view, that's a good mechanical view to get. And then sometimes maybe from right behind home plate, you can get a couple videos right there. But from at very least, from a standpoint of let them have a mechanical reference from games, because sometimes what they're doing in practice doesn't come out in the game. They're assuming it does. So if you give them some feedback, we've been training our students to become their own best coaches, look at video, analyze video, and they check with us if they have questions about the video. We do this inside the training center all the time. So part one on parents and how you can help your kids is get an occasional video, whether it's every couple games, and give them a little bit of feedback. It doesn't have to be every single pitch and every single game, like I said, just occasional video, so they can almost like a checklist of what they're doing. So that's one. Two, parents, especially if your kid's a pitcher, if there's ways, especially if your coaches are not doing a good job of it, keep on top of some details for your players. So if your kid is pitching, an easy thing to track is number of pitches he's throwing, the number of strikes that he's throwing, and when he does miss the strike zone, maybe make a diagram or a note. Hey, he missed low, he missed high, he missed left, he missed right. And if you could keep yourself busy by just keeping a chart through the game of the number of pitches, once again, was it a strike or not? So how many pitches is he throwing? How many strikes? And when he does miss, did he miss high, low, left, or right? It's a really simple thing. And people are taking Game Changer. They'll say, well, that's in Game Changer. You look that up. But we want to look at the details of where the pitch was actually thrown. And oftentimes, if the player can look at that on paper after the game, they can get feedback. Because sometimes what we get is when we ask the player, how'd you do? He may say something like, oh, I didn't do very good. I was wild. And if you ask them, well, where were you missing? They'll be like, oh, all over the place. And we know it's not all over the place. It's more in one direction more than any other, one or two directions. And that may help them then see, analyze, and make future corrections. So the more aware they are, the better off they are. I think those are just some basic things that you can give your player, and it would keep you busy, and it doesn't put you in, some people are worried about being in crazy parent mode, and then also, some players, parents are so disconnected from the game where they're just worried about the performance. Well, what you can do is be the feedback person by objectively tracking some stuff or getting a few videos on them. That way you're giving them something as a gift to get better. Last thing, what your players should be doing, especially the hitters, they should be keeping a game journal. There should be a notebook that they're keeping throughout the season. On the rides home after the game, at very least, or when they get home, they should be able to track their at-bats. What did they do during their at-bats? And here's what we want to know. They want to be able to track, if they had 4 at-bats and they put 4 balls in play, we want to know how many of those were hit hard. We want to know, did you hit the ball hard? The second thing is we want to know the flight of the ball. In other words, was it hit straight into the ground, low line drive, high line drive, high fly ball, pop up? So we want to know the flight. They know the code from zone -1 to zone 4. And the third thing is on that particular swing, where did the ball go? So we want to know, did you hit it hard? What was the flight? Where did the ball go? And on those three, what's going to start to happen, especially after about 10, 12 at bats, maybe more, the hitter's going to start to find that there's patterns. When he hits the ball hard, the ball has a tendency to fly like this. So when the ball is hit hard with good flight, you're going to notice that there's probably 1 or 2 spots in the field that hit the ball more often than other places. And when they're not hitting the ball well, they're also going to find patterns that start to develop. Most hitters have patterns where they're not hitting it well. Say they hit it weak on the ground. They're going to notice that, hey, I noticed that when I hit the ball weak, it's not so much pop-up, it's a little bit more ground ball. Or maybe it's a combination. Or when I hit a ground ball, I have a tendency to pull it. When I pop it up, I have a tendency to hit it the other side. So reinforce to them. One of the most important things they should be doing is keeping a game journal of their at-bats throughout the season, and then also taking notes. So for example, if they did hit a ball weak, they could take a note. Hey, I was early on the fastball, I was late on the fastball, any kind of notes there, and it makes them a true student of the game. By the way, the greatest players in the world, they're keeping notebooks, they're keeping journals, not looking at Game Changer, they're actually writing it down, because at the end of the day, awareness is in itself the step one to making a cure. The more aware they are, they're more likely to adapt and adjust. If they lack awareness, if they don't have the detailed feedback, they're going to be slow to adjust. And I've never met a coach who is really patient with players who are slow to adjust. So parents, this is just a quick tip video for you, but also a quick tip video for your players. Make sure if you're a fastball student, they got to be tracking those at-bats in the notebooks. And when they talk to us, we're going to want to talk about details. If they're going to come to us and be like, Coach, I'm struggling, we're going to want to know, hey, pull out your notebook, give me some details about your pitching performances or your hitting performances. Give us some details about what you're doing. So this is Coach Mike Ryan at the Fastball USA Training Center. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, fastballusa@hotmail.com, and good luck this season.